wields the truth? The marketing teams at tech and EV companies wield the truth, or is it the Congolese people? Because they're telling completely opposite stories. The people on the ground in the Congo are telling a story of pillage, suffering, penny wages, and death to feed Cobalt up the chain.
Cobalt. It's not a word you hear in headlines. It's not gold, not oil, not even lithium. But if you're holding a smartphone right now, if your car runs on a battery, or if your country launches satellites or AI-guided missiles, you're already dependent on it. And chances are someone died so you could be. Today, over 70% of the world's cobalt comes from just one place, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Not from factories, not from safe, regulated mines, but from holes in the ground, dug by hand, filled with children, and surrounded by silence. In the Congo, the mineral of the future is buried under the weight of history. A history of colonization, of bloodshed, and of foreign powers carving up the earth for profit. And now, the United States has entered the game. Not with bombs, but with money, with corporations, and with quiet ambition. Because cobalt isn't just a metal, it's the most critical mineral in the global energy race. It stabilizes lithium-ion batteries, prevents them from overheating, and extends their lifespan. Without cobalt, your Tesla battery dies faster. Your drone flies shorter. Your fighter jet doesn't take off. It's the mineral that keeps the digital world alive. And here's the problem. China controls it. By 2020, China had taken over 15 of the 19 largest industrial cobalt mines in the Congo. These weren't chance investments. They were part of a decades-long strategy. Chinese companies like China Molybdenum and Huayu Cobalt locked in deals worth billions. They built roads, bridges, and even hospitals, but only near mining zones. They offered low-interest loans to Congolese leaders in exchange for long-term rights. Today, China refines over 80% of the world's cobalt. The US didn't act. It watched, then panicked. Because in Washington, intelligence reports started piling up, memos warning that if China shut off cobalt exports, America's entire defense grid could collapse. That the F-35 fighter jet, which uses 9 pounds of cobalt, would be grounded. That missiles would fail. That satellite batteries would degrade mid-orbit. Even Elon Musk admitted, "We can't scale without cobalt." And so, a new mission began. Secure cobalt. By any means necessary. The Biden administration launched new programs under the State Department, the Pentagon, and USAID. The Development Finance Corporation, DFC, started offering loans and insurance to American firms willing to enter Congo's brutal terrain. Private companies like Cobalt Metals, backed by Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, used AI to hunt for untouched reserves. The Pentagon reclassified cobalt as a critical defense material. But here's what they didn't tell you. This wasn't about helping Congo. This wasn't about ethical sourcing. It was about replacing China. In Kolwezi, a city that looks like it was built from the rust of the machines it hosts, US-linked contractors began acquiring land. Children as young as 8 were still hauling cobalt in sacks, heavier than their bodies. Entire villages were still being displaced without warning. The roads, improved for trucks, not people. The salaries, $2 a day if you're lucky. The safety gear, non-existent. When reporters arrived, they were told to leave. When locals protested, security forces opened fire. When miners died, they were replaced by mourning. And the West? It applauded the clean supply chain. Because Cobalt promised better AI. Apple promised traceability. The EU promised battery passports. But behind every promise stood a loophole. Subcontractors, middlemen, shell companies, all designed to shield the brands from the blood. In 2023, 14 Congolese families sued American tech giants, accusing them of being complicit in child deaths. The companies denied responsibility. They said, "We don't control the mines." But that's not the full truth. The U.S. government, through its defense funds and economic aid, indirectly enables the same mines, the same chains, the same graves. Because cobalt isn't just for phones, it powers America's military, electric tanks, drones, surveillance aircraft, laser weapons. All use cobalt-based power sources. And with every conflict, every future war, the need grows. In classified briefings, U.S. generals now rank mineral dominance as critical as air dominance. The Pentagon's 2024 defense strategy included $1.2 billion for critical mineral acquisition, most of it aimed at Africa. But there's a problem no general can solve. The Congo doesn't want another master. Local activists are pushing back. New leaders are questioning contracts. Environmental groups are exposing pollution in Lake Tushangalele, where runoff from cobalt mines is poisoning entire fish populations. Meanwhile, Chinese firms are bribing officials to hold ground. Western ones are pressuring Washington to relax human rights conditions. And the Congolese people? Still waiting. For wages. For justice. For a life that doesn't begin and end in a pit. In makeshift towns where mining companies set up temporary housing, families live beside the same machines that evicted them. Children play with discarded cables and rusting metal sheets. The same hands that dig cobalt also handle the corpses of fallen miners, buried in graves with no names, no ceremonies, no history. And that's the real story. The U.S. doesn't want Africa's cobalt because it cares about Africa. It wants it because it can't afford not to, because the future is electric. And without cobalt, the future belongs to someone else. So next time you read about a $70,000 electric SUV, or a 24-hour phone battery, or a drone strike in the Middle East, know that somewhere, in a crater outside Kolwezi, a child picked up the rock that made it happen. And no matter how green the future looks, its foundation is stained with dirt, debt, and silence. Cobalt is the new currency of power. And in this game, the strong don't just survive. They exploit, extract, and erase. The U.S. says it's building a future powered by ethics and clean energy. But beneath that solar panel, there's a shadow, and it stretches all the way to the Congo. Because someone always pays for progress. And right now, it's being paid in African blood.